For me, I think the biggest thing that football taught me was how to overcome adversity.
At some point in your life, you're going to have some tough times.
You have to have that next play mentality.
That cohesiveness and that working together, that's really something special that you can't get in a lot of other areas.
When you practice that and you live that in other phases of your life, it becomes second nature because all you know how to do is fight.
It's not an easy game. If it were easy, everyone would do it.
You start to appreciate the smaller contributions that people make. You don't just look at the big one because you knew it took 6 or 7 other guys who are unsung.
And you can't take shortcuts and be successful.
Doing what they do to make it possible for the guy getting the press clippings or whatever it might be.
In this game, whether it's as a coach or a player.
So I would certainly say that you definitely got a very quick lesson in how to overcome adversity playing football.
Since I'm a people's person, I want to help you enjoy this midseason mock draft. I know mock drafts tend to be a hot button issue for a lot of people, but I want to help you enjoy this mock draft, and I compiled a list of ways you can do so. Number one, these picks are of the best fit nature, guys that I think will be best fit for the teams that I have them going to, and it's also not indicative of my grades or where I think these guys will actually go in April's draft. And don't focus on where guys are slotted. Again, it's a best fit midseason mock draft, and the picks I made are based off the entire roster. So I look at the practice squad, I look at guys that are on IR before I make a selection, and also don't focus on who's picking where. Oh, how can you have my team picking right here when they're going to be undefeated by the end of the season? Listen, man, don't focus on who's picking where. It's only a mock draft. That ties into point number 6. Don't be tender. You can enjoy this mock easily if you don't be tender, don't have tender feelings, and it's only a mock draft. Share it with a friend so both of you guys can enjoy the picks that we have given your respective squad. The Browns have played 4 guys at quarterback this season. It's the obvious position that needs to get solidified in the NFL draft. Some may want Myles Garrett, the defensive end out of Texas A&M, in this spot, but the Browns drafted Emmanuel Ogbah, Joe Schobert, and Carl Nassib last year. They also have rookie Tyrone Holmes that they picked up as a free agent, and second-year man Nate Orchard will be returning from injury, so they're straight on the edge. They also pick up Jamie Collins, who I think can play inside as a linebacker or outside as an outside linebacker. He gives them versatility at the second level. So again, they're straight on the edge. And at linebacker, Deshaun Kaiser out of Notre Dame gets the slight edge over Deshaun Watson, in my opinion, because of the lack of an injury history. Both are tremendous talents, and the Browns get at least one of them here. Kaiser reminds me a lot of former Titan and Raven Steve McNair. The temptation to take a quarterback here is very strong, but you don't know what their plans are for Colin Kaepernick, who in my opinion should be their unquestioned starter for next season. The most glaring need is at wide receiver for the 49ers, so why not add one of the best in the class in Juju Smith-Schuster out of USC? It doesn't matter who your quarterback is. If you don't have threats on the perimeter for him to get the ball to, the passing game won't work. This solves a major issue for the Niners, in my opinion. Yes, Jay Cutler has talent. Yes, he has shown he can be the guy, but I do think his time is up in Chicago. Deshaun Watson out of Clemson gives them a guy that has ice water in his veins and shows the ability to bounce back from early game adversity. The leadership he has shown since his true freshman campaign is exactly what you want to see from the quarterback position. I think he'll give the Bears a bona fide star at the position, something that they haven't had since Sid Luckman. Quarterback is another tempting spot here, but the number 1 and number 2 players are gone, and I also think they could use a guy that can bring consistent pressure off the edge, which is why I gave the Jags Myles Garrett out of Texas A&M. I know they have Dante Fowler, who's slowly starting to come back from that ACL injury of a year ago, and they have Yannick Ngakoue that they drafted this year out of Maryland. But why not add another guy that can bring heat off the edge to help out that back end? I think Garrett would be an ideal fit for Gus Bradley in that defensive line. I like Cam Robinson of Alabama here for Carolina. I was tempted to go secondary, but I like the young guys that they drafted this year, and I feel as though with a year of live game reps, they'll be much better in 2017. Robinson gives them a premier offensive lineman that they can use on either side to strengthen their offensive front. I doubt the Jets re-sign Geno Smith. I wouldn't re-sign with them anyway if I were him. And they still have two young quarterback prospects in Bryce Petty and Christian Hackenberg on a roster that the jury is still out on. And yes, North Carolina's Mitch Trubisky will be an upgrade, but I doubt they move on a quarterback here, so I think they go back to the defensive side of the ball and find the heir apparent to longtime starter David Harris and Alabama's Reuben Foster. In my opinion, Foster is the best linebacker in the country. He plays the position exactly how you want it to be played, and he would pair up nicely with last year's pick, Darren Lee. And again, he will remind Jet fans of current starting inside linebacker David Harris and how he plays the game. The Colts need a game breaker in the backfield. They haven't had one since Edgerrin James. They land the best back in the draft in LSU's Leonard Fournette, and Fournette is a three-down threat that can score from anywhere on the field. Andrew Luck will finally get someone that can take a lot of pressure off him and that passing game, and this is a pick that the Colts have to make. If it's not Fournette, then Cook or McCaffrey has to be their guy. But here in this mock draft, they get the talented Tiger out of Baton Rouge. I think the Chargers have to get more dynamic on the perimeter. They'll get Keenan Allen back from injury, but they're just okay outside of Allen at the receiver position. That's why, in my opinion, Isaiah Ford of Virginia Tech makes a lot of sense here. Ford is an athletic wideout with a game that's similar to the Jaguars' Allen Robinson. I'm a big fan of his hands and how he's able to contort his body to make the acrobatic catch. I go to the secondary here for the Titans with Florida's Jalen Tabor, the 6', 199-pound corner with tremendous ball skills. The Titans have 2 first-round picks, and it makes sense to land one of their premier corner prospects in the draft, especially in a division that wants to spread the field and throw the ball around. Staying in the secondary, I like Desmond King out of Iowa for the Dolphins here. King has solid all-around game and terrific football awareness. I think he would instantly help the Dolphins out on the back end from day one. He's one of the more polished cornerbacks in the draft. Not to sound like a broken record, but Baltimore needs a wide receiver. Steve Smith Sr. will hang him up soon, and Brashard Perriman has struggled to stay healthy, and Mike Wallace, to me, is more of a comp guy. That's why I like Corey Davis of Western Michigan here for the Ravens. He's a super productive wideout with terrific hands and has the ability to take a short pass a long way. I think he could be the missing perimeter piece in this Ravens offense. The Bucs can use some help in the secondary at safety. More in particular, I gave them the best joker in the draft in Michigan's Jabril Peppers. Peppers can serve multiple roles in Mike Smith's defense with his ability to find a football and take it away. To me, that's worth its weight in gold. Peppers is a legit football player and will make a ton of plays in the NFL. The Saints desperately need help at cornerback. Once you're down to guys wearing 40 numbers at corner, you know you're in trouble. But all jokes aside, they've suffered big-time injuries with draftees Damian Swann and P.J. Williams, both of whom have shown the ability to play, but both have suffered bad concussions. So here's a chance to bolster the unit with Alabama's Marlon Humphrey. Humphrey has shown the ability to press, excel in man coverage, and most importantly, the requisite ball skills to succeed at the next level. I think the Cards have to address the quarterback position here pretty soon, and this would be a great landing spot for UNC's Mitch Trubisky. The 6'3", 220-pound signal caller has done a great job this season, showcasing a lot of the skills that a guy like Bruce Arians would definitely covet, and they could have the luxury of not rushing him into action right away, although I'm definitely in favor of them doing so, but they do have a capable vet in Carson Palmer. Also, I could have went secondary here, but I like Harlan Miller, who's on the practice squad, and they get guys back like Tyvon Branch and Eli Buka from injury next season, so I went with the quarterback position instead. I think it's time for the Bengals to address the second level of their defense, and I'm a big fan of Vanderbilt's Zach Cunningham. The 6'3", 230-pound backer can play any one of the 3 backer spots and could start right away in the middle or on the strong side. He gives the Bengals an instinctive, athletic linebacker that's active on both ends of defense. Looking for help in the secondary, especially at safety, I think Budda Baker makes sense here for Buffalo. Baker is a free safety that's constantly involved in the play, whether that's in coverage or versus the run. I think he gives defensive coordinator Dennis Thurman the ability to get creative up front because he has the ability to erase mistakes on the back end. With their second first-round pick, I added help on the perimeter for Marcus Mariota with Clemson's Mike Williams, the wide receiver. The Titans still have a good prospect on the practice squad in Trey McBride, and with the emergence of rookie Tajay Sharp and veteran Kendall Wright, I think a guy like Williams can balance out their receiving core with his ability to stretch the field. I like the talent on this Lions roster, and I just bolstered that with strong safety Jamal Adams out of LSU. Yes, he's a strong safety by definition, but I like his ability to play in space, play the ball, and the force in which he tackles ball carriers. Adams, to me, can be trusted deep on the back end in certain situations. I just really like this fit here for Detroit. The Redskins are loaded with talent at wide receiver. Their offensive line has improved, and they are super talented and athletic at every level on their defense. What they are missing is a premier playmaker at running back. Insert Florida State's Dalvin Cook, the 5'11", 215-pound tailback, has Lamar Miller-like acceleration and LaDainian Tomlinson-like quickness and power. To me, this will open up Washington's offense in a big-time way. The Browns also have 2 first-round picks in this draft, and I went with Adoree Jackson, the corner out of USC. Jackson's a very good cornerback with ball skills, and I think he still has some upside left at the position. Let's not forget, he's also the best return man in college football as well. The Browns have to get better in the secondary. I think they are fine at safety, so getting an athletic, versatile talent like Jackson to play inside or out just helps strengthen that unit as a whole. Speaking of teams that need a running back to completely open up their offense, the New York Giants fit the description to a T, with Beckham, Cruz, and Shepard on the outside. Adding a threat like Christian McCaffrey and his Tiki Barber-like skill set will do just that. Yes, they can go tight end here, but the Giants have needed a legit threat in the backfield since Tiki Barber left, and McCaffrey is a matchup nightmare because of his ability as a receiver, and having him as a feature back will make the G-men very tough to match up against each week and could easily add 5 more years to Eli Manning's career. I give the Packers some tight end help here with Alabama's O.J. Howard, who is the most complete tight end in the country. We know how great of a blocker he is, but many are still underselling his ability in the passing game because of the offense that he's playing in right now. Plus, you add a tight end in this Packers offense with the weapons that they have on the outside, and watch out. Running back was also an option here, but the top 3 backs are gone, and there's some good value in rounds 2 and 3 this season. I don't know why everyone is down on Ohio State's linebacker Raekwon McMillan. He's an excellent inside backer that would be great in Kansas City. Derek Johnson can't play forever, and I think they have to start prepping for the future. I know DJ Alexander is there and is deserving of an opportunity, but McMillan would be too hard to pass up here if I'm Kansas City. Another linebacker goes off the board here with Jarrett Davis out of Florida. The 6'1", 240-pound thumper would pair nicely next to Brandon Marshall and help that Broncos front 7 remain stout and dangerous and also athletic. Davis is one heck of a football player. I wanted to help the Pittsburgh Steelers get back to Blitzburgh with the addition of Tim Williams out of Alabama. Williams is one of those edge rushers that does not get tired at all, so you'll get 4 quarters of nonstop pressure from him, and he's also a disruptive player versus the run as well. This would be an ideal fit for the Steelers. I think the Falcons can stand to add one more pass rusher to their defense. Derek Barnett may not be the athletic freak, but he's always around the football and making the big play at the most crucial time. And if the Falcons can bring him in and let him do what he does best, you'll see this defense become one of the most feared in the NFL. The Texans did a great job last year addressing perimeter talent on offense. Now it's time to address the secondary, more in particular the safety position. That's why I think Malik Hooker out of Ohio State would be an excellent fit here. I use the term mistake eraser a lot, and to me, that's what Hooker is. He brings that to the table and would immediately help out the Texans on the back end. I'm going along the offensive line here for Seattle with Wisconsin's Ryan Ramczyk. I think he can play either tackle spot. He's physical and has the aggressiveness that you need to play up front. I think he would be paired nicely alongside of Jermaine Ifedi and help strengthen the Seahawks offensive line. I absolutely love the fit of Jonathan Allen here for the Raiders. Teams are able to run right down the middle against this Raiders defense. I think they'll be fine on the edge, but adding a stud like Allen in the middle next to Justin Ellis would be perfect. Even as a rotational piece with Dan Williams still there, I think it would be a great move. To be quite honest, Allen would give them some good versatility and flexibility up front for defensive coordinator Ken Norton Jr. With a defense that's talented and deep and an offense that has a young quarterback in Carson Wentz, I think it'll be smart to stockpile receiving options around him. And I'm a big fan of how head coach Doug Peterson creates matchups with his tight ends, and giving them Michigan's Jake Butt will not only keep them great in the running game, but also create a ton of mismatches in the passing game. They can flex out Zach Ertz more often, as well as Trey Burton, who can serve as a pseudo fullback within his offense. Brent Selleck is solid, but in my opinion, Butt would give them much more of a threat that can play in line. I look to the defensive side of the ball to add help for the Dallas Cowboys. Missouri's edge rusher Charles Harris gives them some flexibility because of his ability to put his hand in the dirt as a defensive end, but also as a Sam backer. He can rush off the edge. Plus, the Cowboys need dependability within their front 7 with guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, Rolando McClain, and Randy Gregory all missing time because of suspensions. To me, Carl Lawson is similar to Derek Barnett of Tennessee. You don't know how they're getting it done, but they're constantly getting it done. And I think the Pats have to get younger at end and have a good rotational piece behind Chris Long, and Jabal Shear would be perfect. Lawson gives them that good rotational pressure guy that they desperately need. Since the Rams don't have a first-round pick, in the second round, I have them addressing their interior offensive line with the best center in the country in LSU's Ethan Posick. Now, anytime Fournette rips off a long inside run, look who clears away. It's Posick. At 6'6", 310, he's a taller center a la Travis Frederick, but has great knee bend and gets terrific movement off the snap. Another team without a first-round pick are the Minnesota Vikings. I gave them help along the offensive line with All-American guard Dan Feeney out of Indiana. The Vikings have to get a lot better up front across the board, and Feeney is the best guard prospect in this draft class so far, and so why not start there and help strengthen the wall up front for Minnesota?